cutting massive amounts of our adjunct staff, which is raising class sizes. They're cutting out majors, and I'm not okay with that because I'm just a freshman in school and already my education is taking a hit.
Why do you think that this is being carried out by a Democrat?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I thought Cuomo would be better than that. I thought education had more value in this country than it apparently does.
I really see very little difference in the two political parties. Very little difference. The whole system is the problem. The entirety of the system.
Do you think that the working class needs its own party?
Yeah.
What do you think is necessary to stop these kinds of cuts?
Mass mobilizations.
For quality education. Governor Cuomo had originally proposed a $1.5 billion budget cut. Now we're looking at a $1.3 billion budget cut. There's not much restored. Children are going to lose schools, art programs, teachers, class sizes will increase. I mean, what happened to the quality education? We should not be balancing the budget on the backs of our children.
Tuition's going to rise in little ways ways that aren't actually tuition, but are tuition, like student fees and things like that, will also rise as a way to compensate for budget shortfalls, which is going to mean that it's harder and harder for low-income and working-class families to actually attain a university-level education in New York State.
General benefits for the working class are things that should be looked out for, because if you look at the entire society as a whole, there are very few people making a lot of money and a lot of people who aren't making very much, and the burden should not fall on the people who can't afford it. It should fall on the people who can afford it the most.
Do you think that this requires a political solution?
I think it requires some sort of solution, whether political, cultural. We need some sort of shift in this country where people are no longer just going to sit down and be stepped on by their governments.
People are much more passionate now than they've ever been. I mean, just comparing the political energy on campus before winter break and afterwards. I mean, coming back this January, kids were down, and that's been really exciting to see. We just had a big activist conference at Vassar last weekend. We had a lot of people show up. A lot of kids told me that they hadn't really been political at all, and that now it's just, I think people are getting the sense that we can feed off the energy from Egypt, feed off the energy from Wisconsin, Tunisia, all across North Africa, and do something serious. I think the invasion of Libya reminded people that we're in 3 wars now. And that we know we need to do something about that. Military spending is way out of control in our country. And I think we're starting to realize that. And I think the more and more that upper middle class students become touched by this kind of shit, we're going to see more actions in the universities, and I think that's key. I think that's going to be key. Now with the unions so weak, I think that's where the organizational strength is going to come from, and I can only hope. But yeah, the Democratic Party is not going to be where it happens. I mean, at this point, they're not doing any better for us than the Republicans, really, in a lot of ways.
Well, I think the unions have failed the workers for the past century. At the same time, they're still necessary, as opposed to having no unions. If you look at just the day-to-day, unions are necessary in order to have any kind of change. I mean, any kind of support for workers. However, I mean, it's obvious that they have been failing the workers since mid-20th century. They betrayed us. I think Wisconsin got a lot of inspiration from Egypt, and we're getting a lot of inspiration from Wisconsin about just getting in the streets, reclaiming public space, saying this is our city, this is our place, this is our government, or it should be.